Good morning, everyone. My name is Leo, and I'm going to talk about hesitation disfluency in spontaneous speech, also the meaning of and R. Human speech is peppered with and R's. Among other signs of hesitations in the planning process, but are these so-called fillers or filled pauses intentionally uttered by speaker, or are they side effects of difficulties in the planning process, and how do listeners respond to them? The present paper reviews evidence concerning the production and comprehension of fillers such as and in an attempt to determine whether they can be said to be words with meaning that are understood by listeners. To conclude, listeners are highly sensitive to hesitation disfluencies in the speech. There is little evidence to suggest that they are intentionally produced or should be considered to be words in the conventional sense. When humans communicate, their messages are conveyed by more than just the word they use. They can, for example, use gesture to indicate what a phrase such as this one refer to, or change their tone of voice to show that the assertion that they love linguistics is not to be taken at face value. As well as these additional components of communication, the word of unprepared spoken language are likely to be accompanied by a range of unintentional error. If, for example, a speaker exchange the one set of two words by perhaps saying "d'abord" when intending to say bonjour. It is highly unlikely that the exchange is intentional, and the occurrence of accidental speech error like this may inform us about the nature of speech planning between these extremes of intentionality are disfluencies, or the false starts, repetition, and hesitations are accompanied the words that speakers plan and utter. Averaging across several studies, Fox-Tree estimated that approximately 6% of words uttered are or are affected by some form of disfluencies. These disfluencies may not always be accidental. It has been argued that some type of disfluencies should be counted amongst the tools the speaker has for communicating to the listener. Alongside things such as tone of voice, others such as false starts may be due to the speakers editing their own speech. Chief amongst the potentially communicative disfluencies are the so-called fillers, such as and not, which mark a hesitation on the part of the speaker. In this paper, we investigated the role played by hesitation in human communications, with a particular focus on fillers and the communicative goal they may serve. Here's my table of contents. First, where do these fluencies such as filler occur throughout? Next, what are hesitation, disfluency, and cognitive load? Third, what's the meaning of and are? In the end, I will tell you guys how to reducing disfluencies in spontaneous speech. After all of this, I will show you a short video of a short talk between Ryan Reynolds and Jack Gyllenhaal and see how they're using filter and then explain why they were using the filters. Investigation of where disfluencies such as filter occurs throughout utterance have established that They are more likely to occur before counting words, such as low frequency colonel. However, Beatty and Butterworth come to a different conclusion when they investigated the distributional property of these fluencies across a set of recordings of two-person conversations. They showed that both low-frequency content words and those rated as contextual improbable were likely to be preceded by hesitation such as failures when the frequency was held constant. Contextual probability still predicts these fluencies. Rather than attributing this fluency to cognitive load, Beatty and Butterworth suggest that speaker might be aware of an element of choice in selecting word with low contextual probability and were more likely to be disfluenced for this reason. Next, not enough practice. Research also shows that not enough practice can do more practice can reducing hesitation disfluencies in your speech, and better preparation can reduce the mood of hesitation very well. Next, what are hesitation disfluency and what is cognitive load? In spontaneous speech, any form of nonsense pauses are called hesitation disfluencies. One of the most common hesitation disfluencies is filler. And what is cognitive load? It is a process that you are phrasing your word and thinking about how to pronounce the word and what does it mean. The research shows that there is more likely a filler word throughout after a cognitive load. Now, let's move on to the next part. What's the meaning of and are? Their meaning is no meaning. They are just different kinds of delay. Is a longer delay. Is a brief delay. Although there's no meaning in these two words, the study shows that people are more likely to memorize the contents that comes after and are. In the field of linguistics, some believe that and are means that someone is trying to throw out an opinion or phrasing what they are going to say next and lead the listener to the point which the speaker wants to send. Last but not least, how to reduce this fluency in spontaneous speech. First, as I mentioned in the very beginning, to practice more. Doing enough practice can before your speech can make you more confident and more fluent about your speech. Next, choice of word. You should choose the word you are familiar with instead of the word which are common and very difficult. This can also help you do your speech more fluency because the words in your speech are those you know very well. So there is this chance that you have a cognitive load, which only happen when you are not familiar with the words. Final one, using silent pause. We should learn how to use silent pause instead of using fillers. Now, I would like to share you a short video from YouTube, and let's see how fillers are here in our daily conversation. Then we will see how many times and what kind of fillers throughout the speaker in this video. Skip these parts. All right. As you can see here, I have made a small record to count out how many times do the speaker use the fillers and which one is the most frequent. The first one is it has been used once. The second one is it has been used 10 times. The third one is like it has been used twice. Next is yeah, it has been used twice. After I mean it has been used once. The final one is you know it has been used once. In my opinion, and yeah can be considered as the speaker was thinking about what he want to say and which word he should use. You know, I mean, like, more likely the speaker throughout and the speaker wants the listener to agree with his opinion and reach a consensus. Taken together, the studies have surveyed shows the filler occur in utterance when speakers are uncertain or when they have choice to make. The effects they affect the comprehension process, facilitating understanding and allowing the listener to amend their prediction about what might be said next or evaluate the speaker's confidence in the what they are saying. Although this evidence is consistent with the view that and are worse, uh, other studies suggest that they do not have such a status. Speakers may produce they automatically when there is a delay to the speech plan, and it may be the case that may plausible interruption to fluent speech will affect listener in the same way as a filler. So this is my presentation today. Thank you for listening.